right. Uh, Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to your lesson. Uh, Today, we are going to talk about market research, which is page 153 of your book. It's a new chapter, chapter 11. So let's go to the slides. Last lesson, we talked about two strategies that businesses use. One was mass marketing, and the other one was niche marketing. We talked about the difference between the two. And I said businesses sometimes segment their market, which was uh, dividing the entire markets that they operate in into different sectors according to some criteria. We talked about geographic segmentation, and we also talked about demographic segmentation. I gave you the example of a bunch of businesses and how they've managed to segment their market. We talked about the benefits of segmentation. Mostly was to keep away from competitors, stay safe, spread the risk, increase sales, increase profit, improve brand image through meeting your customers' needs, special needs and wants. Don't forget that you had these two activities to do, which is due tomorrow. And there we go, market research. Listen, so the idea behind market research. So market research is a process, basically. It's something that you do. It's an activity. We do it when we want to know what exactly customers want. What is their expectation? And everybody does this when they start a business in one form or another. It could be simple or it could be worth millions of dollars. Okay, so usually for big businesses, when they want to be really successful, they might be willing to spend millions of dollars to have accurate data about how their business is going to be in the future. So it's a process. It's a process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting data about a market. It could be about the market itself. It could be about the
Mr.
product.
Farhan,
It could be, yes.
one of my friends can't join. It says waiting for the host to accept.
I thought I removed that option. I'll fix that. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello?
Is that fixed? Is he in?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. All right. So I was saying that market research is about that. We want to understand the market. An example to what I mean by understanding the market. Well, just imagine our city. let's say you want to start a business in this city, you do have to look at the market and see how it is. Is there any potential for your business to be successful? How much sales are you going to have? How much profit are you going to have? What is the potential for growth inside this market? What is the government's policy in this market? So these are the information that you have to gather before you make any decision, right? And you also have to think about the product that you're providing. Is it, what special need is it providing? Is it fulfilling that the customers might have? How is it different from other products that are currently being supplied in the market? What is the quality? What do you think the price should be, right? And even if it's a service, what kind of service is it? Is it necessary to exist in the market? Is it filling a gap in the market? Okay, so market, product, and also competitors, and that's really important, because if the market is saturated, let's say, by really strong businesses, then you have to know that you have less chance of success, because there are too many barriers to entry to the market. Just imagine going to America as a computer manufacturing business, competing with Apple and Samsung and so on. So level of competition is really, really strong. And, the marketing policy of your competitors would impact you as well. If your business is in neck-to-neck competition with another competitor, if they promote their products, if they increase their marketing budget and campaign, then it's going to impact your sales. Okay, so in those three regards, I would say market research is really, really important. This illustration explains that. What you do is to gather information. We will talk about that later. What you do, what do we mean by gather information? What sources do you go to get the information from? For example, how do you know what is the makeup of the market in terms of gender? That's one of the information you might want to look at about the market. What is the age makeup of the market, of the country, and so on. And then what do you do to the data? You have to process it. Remember, when you gather data, it's in its raw form. I'm pretty sure that you have taken this in science, in biology. When you want to study the nature, you have to collect information about it. You have to collect samples. And then what do you do to this sample? Maybe you prepare it. You take it through a process so that that sample is ready for analysis. That's when you have the tubes. You might have seen this in chemistry. Then it's a solution that could be tested through scientific tests, right? And then you take the result of that test, scientific research, and then you make conclusions about it. And that's the meeting. That's point number 4. Now I have all the data. It's prepared in tables, in bar charts, in pie charts, let's say. And then you have a meeting about it as the business owners, and you make some conclusions. You compile it into a report, and then you present it to the stakeholders who might be interested in that information. Okay? So that's in a nutshell what market research is about. I'm going to allow you a few seconds to ask me any questions if you have them. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next slides. Okay, so this is more explanation to what kind of information might you get as a result of market research. What kind of questions will be answered by doing market research? For example, who's your target audience? Who is going to buy your product? What kind of need, what kind of want is it fulfilling? What is the best geographical location for your business? Sometimes you have too many options. Which city? Hawler, Slemani, market research would tell you that. What can be a distribution channel? For example, how will the customers receive your product? Are you going to have free delivery? Will the customers come to you themselves? Will you sell it to wholesalers and wholesalers sell it to customers? So which one is the most convenient for the customer? Market research will tell you that as well. Who are the competitors? How strong are they? In addition to these, if you go to the book, On page 153, you have more questions that market research could answer. For example, what is my unique selling point? USP means that what is special about your product, basically. So I would say Apple's unique selling point is the quality of their goods, the features of their phones and laptops. McDonald's unique selling point is how fast it is and maybe the taste as well. Um, Domino's Pizza would be their unique selling point is that if you don't get the pizza in more than half an hour, I think, then the pizza would be free. So something that makes your business special and your competitors don't have. So basically, something that gives you competitive advantage. That's unique selling point. So what kind of unique selling point would your product have? Could be answered, should have, could be answered by market research as well. And I put in these two examples to what market research, what problem could market research solve for business owners. So two cases. One, I have a product which is superior, meaning the quality is really good, to the products currently available in the market. Can you test and tell me if customers also think so? So the market research solution is that they have taken the product, they have given it to people as part of a research. Maybe they're paid, maybe they're part of the research voluntarily, and you tell them to test the product and see if they like it. Okay, that's one way you answer the question. Case number two. It's a foreign manufacturer from America, let's say, want to know if there is a market in India for electronic products which operate on alternative energy systems. Can you tell us if it's a good idea for us to go to India? Well, the research solution could be this. An opportunity assessment study will be conducted to find out if there is a market in India for targeted products which operate on alternative energy systems. So what you do is that you go to India and you ask people if they're willing to pay for a service like this, a product like this, and then you take the results back to the business. Market research. Okay. Now, remember I said we were going to talk about the data collection later, the first step in illustration. Well, this part is how you do it. By the way, primary research and secondary research is not exclusive to market research alone. Any research you take or start, and the way you collect the data is either going to be primary or secondary. Primary means this: provides results specifically about your company. So you do this research, you do this collection yourself for the purpose of your business. Okay? So you might do questionnaires, you might do surveys, you might do in-house studies. We'll talk about the methods of primary research later on, but that's the difference between primary and secondary. You do the research yourself. Okay? And it's done exclusively for the purpose of your business. While secondary, you collect data, you take data that are collected by other people, not your business, not yourself. It could be yourself, but it's not done for the purpose of your business, right? For the purpose of your problem. So, for example, you go and use the internet and read about things that other people have done that might apply on you. Okay, so let's say one of you wants to become an influencer on YouTube. If you want to know whether it's a good idea or not. So what you do is that you go to the internet and read about how an influencer in America started, right? That's secondary market research. That guy's story is similar to yours, but it's not exclusively your story. Your story could be different. That's secondary. While primary could be you go to your parents, you go to your friends, and you ask them, do you think me becoming an influencer in Sleman is a good idea? Then those people will give you information that are exclusive to your situation. They know you, they know your situation, and they would give you data that is only available to you. That's primary. Okay? So that's the difference. If you don't understand what the difference is so far, let me know. Okay, even if you did not understand the difference, this illustration might explain that even further. So primary research is that we obtain original data, and the data is new, and I would also add it's exclusive to the problem that your business has, while secondary market research, it's the results that other people has gathered, right? It's a desk research, meaning you go and use other sources. You might sit on your desk and do the research. You don't go about doing field research, meaning you don't go do questionnaires and surveys and interviews. And the data already exists. Okay? Now, let me explain this important point that most students confuse. The difference is not that done by the business if it's primary, while the other one is done by other businesses if it's secondary. I could have secondary data that is collected and it's the businesses collected by the business, but it's done in the past for different purposes. Let me give you the influencer example again. Okay, so you want to become an influencer. Okay, so do you want to know whether it's a good idea? Okay, so let's say you keep a diary and you go to your diary and you read about yourself in the past to see whether you have potential or not. So in your diary, you explain your personality and the things that have happened to you on a daily basis, and how you solved those problems that you faced. Okay, that's secondary data, even though it's yours, because when you wrote that journal, that story in your journal, you wrote it for a different purpose. You did not know you will become an influencer now. Okay? So don't make that mistake. Is that clear? Do you have any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. So how do you begin? Now that you know you have these two sources. Well, usually businesses start with secondary market research. And I am pretty sure that if you've ever had that goal of becoming an influencer on YouTube or Instagram, your inspiration was other people. And you did go read other people's stories. You do that so that you just to be sure that it's a good decision yourself. You don't know how it's going to influence your family and friends, then you go about doing the primary research. So for businesses, it's the same thing. They usually start with secondary market research. They go and use the internet. They go and read newspaper articles. They go and read books. They go to the library. They go to government publications. They go to their competitors to gain information. And then maybe later on, go and do primary market research. Okay? Now, what are the sources that you could use? As I said, internet, government publication, newspapers, libraries, market research agencies, and business records. This is your business record. This is your own records. So this last one is reading your journal and finding stories of yourself in the past. Okay. Can anybody, let me pick somebody just randomly. Shadia? Hi, Shadia. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Can you tell me, hi, Shadia, can you tell me one limitation to using the internet to doing research?
It might be unreliable.
Yeah, true, right. And
It might be slow as well.
yeah, right. So there are a bunch of problems with, thank you, with internet. You have to make sure that whatever you're reading, sorry, is reliable, means not misleading information. There are countless people who would write anything that comes to their head on the internet because there is no auditing you could do. You can say anything. So before you do that, you have to make sure that the source that you're looking at is legitimate, it's real. And also, uh, it might not be available. Sorry, quite the opposite. We have 10 minutes left. Okay. So, it might confuse you. And I'm sure you've experienced this before. There are countless articles on the internet. So going through them might confuse you and give you, uh, conflicting ideas. So you have to pick and concentrate on the things that you're actually looking for. Okay. Government publication. Can anybody tell me what's government publication I mean, and what kind of information can I get from the government for my business?
Could you repeat the
Does
question,
anybody
sir?
know?
Could you repeat
Yeah,
the
so
question?
for the government publication, any idea what information I can get from looking at government publications?
Maybe the amount of, I don't know, the amount of customers, or not customers, the amount of workers they usually might have.
Very good. Right. Yes. So how many workers exist? How many people in the country? So let's say the more people in a city, the better for your business. So I want to know whether Slimani has more people in it compared to Howler. The government would give me that information, and it's available for free. And also, what is the makeup of women to men? You remember, governments do consensus, like surveys, and they provide information about the makeup of the population to people. How many people exist? How many male? How many female? How many age as well? Age group of people, and maybe the most common disease that people have in the country, the most common cause of death, and so on. So yeah, newspapers and magazines, the same thing. Maybe if I'm in the car manufacturer, I would go and read car manufacturing magazines, specialty magazines like those. Libraries for books, more information. MR agencies means market research agencies. That business exists. I don't think we have it here in our country yet, which is this. Some businesses, they don't do their own market research. They would outsource it to other businesses to do it for them, because they have a specialty in it. They would do it better. They've been doing it for so long, and they're really good at it. So the information they gather and the conclusions they make, these agencies, would be way more accurate than if it's conducted by the business itself. Okay, but again, they have to be really trustworthy, because now that market research agency have access to exclusive information. Okay, so you have to trust them a lot. And by the way, if they disclose any information that they have collected about your business to competitors, you might sue them and they could go to jail for it. Heavy fines as well. So it's very tricky to run a market research agency. Business records. Okay, now this question. Let's see. Rawan, can you tell me what business records could be available to businesses? Rawan, can you hear me?
Sir, her mic doesn't work. She wrote it on the chat.
Oh, okay. So in that case, I'll read it later. Let me pick somebody else. Mirvin.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mirvin.
Hello.
Yeah, did you hear my question?
Yeah, what's business records got to do?
Yeah. So what
Um,
kind of information could I get from my own business records that might help me in my market research.
Maybe decision making, maybe.
Yeah, the decisions that I've made in the past. That is correct.
It can
Yeah,
help you
and
make better decisions.
yes, right. And also maybe what was my sales in the past when I made a certain decision? How did it impact my sales? Guys, that's why it's really important to keep records and documents for your business. Anything you do, you keep a record, because in the future, it works as a reference. I made that decision that particular day. That was the consequence. That's exactly why keeping a journal is a really good idea. You know, it's, you know, people say it's kind of feminine to do it, but no, it actually helps you learn a lot about yourself. So okay, that day I made that decision for that situation, and later on that was the consequence. So maybe later now I I do things differently. So that's the exact same way how businesses operates. That's why they keep every single thing they do. There's a motto that businesses follow nowadays, and it says, if it's not documented, it's not done. And it's all for that purpose, learning from mistakes. And that's how you become better. That's what we mean when we say, even football teams, when we say Real Madrid won because of experience, because they had experience, even though the other team played better. That's exactly what we mean. They've been playing for so long, and they've been keeping a record of their tactics and different tactics, and how those tactics played out in the past, that they know how to deal with situations. Even when you are in a tough situation, tricks that might get you out of that situation, and that's exactly how it works. So you gain or and formalize your experience, and it's right. And experience is not gained just by doing stuff. You forget. So documentation is really, really important. So that was it for today, guys. If you don't have any questions, I hope it was useful. If you have any suggestions, you might write it to me, to my email, and we might be able to improve the effectiveness of these lectures. Otherwise, thank you very much. Nothing else from me.
Thank you, sir. Thank
No
you.
Sir, I
homework.
have
Just
a
just
question.
remember that you have a homework tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Sir, so does every new business use secondary market research as their first research, or what?
Well, it depends. It depends on the business and what they want. Uh, Obviously, if you combine both secondary and primary, it would make it more accurate. So that was a good question. It validates your information, Adan. So sometimes I make a conclusion about myself, and I say I'm smart, I am experienced, and I am also this. Let's say. Well, to make sure that those claims that you just made about yourself are true, you have to go and ask other people too, right? So when they say the same thing about you, then it's confirmation. Now you're more sure that that information is correct, right? But why wouldn't they? Is because it's time consuming to do. Going to secondary market research, it takes more time, and it might be even costly as well, because remember the market research agencies that you have to pay them. The people that are going about doing the research, you have to pay those people as well. So money and time restrictions discourage some businesses from going too deep into doing either secondary or primary market research.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the lesson.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
sir.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for
Have
the
a nice day,
lesson.
guys.
Have a
Bye
nice day.
bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Have a nice